disappointing run for Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, it's never great when you got taken down by Atlanta, who you never thought Atlanta was going to get that far. So now Philadelphia are exploring some trade scenarios with some of their important assets. Ben Simmons is one of them. Tobias Harris is one of them. Today we'll be talking about Ben Simmons. So we came up with 4 potential trade scenarios that Philadelphia could take. And the first one being Portland, which a disgruntled Damian Lillard. We don't know the full facts about whether he wants to be traded or not, but if they were to trade him, it would be this year because his big contract kicks in this year, and then after that, he is immovable because he's too old, his contract's too large, yada yada yada. So in this trade, you probably have to give up Ben Simmons as well as Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, multiple first-round, at least 4 or 5 first-round picks for Damian Lillard because Damian Lillard, his contract's pretty long, so you're going to get Damian Lillard for 5 years, 4 years. And I think Philadelphia probably doesn't have enough assets on hand right now to I guess match up for Damian Lillard, so it might potentially lead to a 3-team trade. We might get other teams involved just so that Portland can get the most bang for the buck. So what do you think about this trade scenario here, where you potentially can have a pairing of Joel Embiid and Damian Lillard?
Yeah, I definitely think that Damian Lillard coming to the 76ers could be a great potential trade scenario. The only thing is that you're right. Philadelphia, they need to send a lot of assets. They need more than Ben Simmons. They need a lot of first round draft picks. They need Thibault, Maxey as well, because Damian Lillard is a top 15 player. And even though earlier in the podcast I was saying that Ben Simmons is overrated, he does have high value trades. So if the Portland Trail Blazers are trading Damian Lillard, they expect a lot of high quality players. So I definitely think that this trade is definitely possible since there was rumors with Damian Lillard wanting to leave Portland. So I think this trade should definitely happen. And again, if it doesn't happen, Portland, they're going to give Damian Lillard the large extension and he's going to be there for years. And will he really be successful in Portland? So, they have to explore the trade options and he should join Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and it worked wonders for Philadelphia. I think this is the time. I mean, Joel Embiid's getting into his prime, and you got to bounce on this opportunity. You can't let that go. For Portland, on the other hand, I mean, you're not gonna win. You're clearly not gonna win championships with Damian Lillard. You can't put enough talent around him. So it's about time to reset. I'm not sure if this is the right deal that they should be taking, but you're not gonna be winning with him. And if you want to win, you'll have to move him. You just got too many contracts locked up to add anything new or make any blockbuster trades to add talent to Damian Lillard. I mean, you could explore CJ McCollum and potentially even CJ McCollum and a few other things for Ben Simmons, and you potentially might have Ben Simmons and Damian Lillard instead of Damian Lillard and Joel Embiid. But yeah, it's for Philadelphia, I think Damian Lillard is a great option. CJ McCollum would be good too, but you want more of a playmaker than just simply a score first guard. Moving on, we have a trade scenario with Sacramento where potentially you can give up De'Aaron Fox for Ben Simmons, and for me, this trade you probably have to give up a little more on Philadelphia's side. I think De'Aaron Fox is worth a little bit more. And with a franchise like Sacramento, I'm not sure if this is the right trade to be taking, but Philadelphia should definitely show some interest in De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that De'Aaron Fox is a high quality player. He's definitely proven it through the past seasons. But it'll be tough as well to see that trade pan through. I would still believe that the Sacramento Kings would have to trade Fox and Bagley just to get Ben Simmons. Because as I said before, Ben Simmons is still a high value trade player. But I do see that trade being possible just for a simple exchange between Ben Simmons and De'Aaron Fox. But at the end of the day, it's not really what the Sacramento Kings want. Do they want to replace De'Aaron Fox, who I believe is a bit younger than Ben Simmons? So that does seem like a good trade on paper, but then we really have to see if it's worth it if it does pan out.
I mean, like when we talk from a value standpoint, I think Ben Simmons and De'Aaron Fox are pretty closely valued. Ben Simmons clearly a much more elite defender, but De'Aaron Fox, he can score on almost all three levels, play makes very well, and he's a pretty good defender, especially like because he's a big guard. What I see as the issue here is Ben Simmons. It's hard to match players around him. I mean, you already have Buddy Hield, who's a great shooter to surround Ben Simmons by. You have young players like Marvin Bagley that and Richaun Holmes, who you're probably looking to re-sign because he's a fantastic player. You don't want to lose him in free agency. But these players don't really work with Ben Simmons, and it's going to be tough with all these contracts, like Harrison Barnes' contract locked in for a couple of years. What are you going to do with Ben Simmons? I mean, these next few years are crucial when he's working into his prime, and it seems like he's already worked into his prime. He hasn't improved for like 3 years or made any significant improvement. So you're going to want to really think this through with Sacramento, whether this trade. But again, with Philadelphia, you should definitely show some interest. But moving on to our two more likely trade scenarios, which is firstly with Washington. I mean, I've been talking forever. I think if you ask anybody I talk with, I've been talking forever about Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal. Obviously, right now, if you trade Bradley Beal for Ben Simmons, you're gonna have to get rid of Russell Westbrook as well. I mean, Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook playing together, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. I mean, you're not making any shots. You can build a wall right around the paint and you'll win games. But I think Bradley Beal will be great in Philadelphia alongside Joel Embiid. I mean, he is elite playmaker. He can create his own shot at an extremely high level. He can score on all three levels. A really strong guard. As Pop said, he's a thick dude. So this guard is a all-star talent guard. And we'll see how he performs in a winning scenario with other really talented guys like Joel Embiid. Not saying Russell Westbrook isn't talented, but it's not exactly the easiest thing to play alongside Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah,
I
and
think
with Ben,
Beal,
yeah, go ahead.
Beal would be a good duo with Joel Embiid. Like if that trade were to happen, I think that'd be a major success for the Philadelphia 76ers. But again, I can't see a simple exchange between Simmons and Beal because Simmons and Russell Westbrook, as he said, they can't play together in my opinion. So you would have to trade assets, a couple picks, and Maxey and Thibault. But I would really want that trade to happen. Out of all the trades, that would be a really successful trade because even Bradley Beal kind of wants out of Washington. So let's take him to, 76ers. Go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and moving on to probably, in my opinion, my favorite trade here, because I think it makes the most sense as far as fit and as far as just situational. I think D'Angelo Russell with Minnesota, D'Angelo Russell for Ben Simmons trade. Obviously, that they're not straight up. I think Ben Simmons is worth far more than D'Angelo Russell. I think you have to give up a couple picks there. You have to give up other assets. Well, potentially you have to bring in a third team because I think Philadelphia probably aren't looking for picks. They're probably looking for other better role players because their bench hasn't exactly been great for them over the past couple of years. We know that. But yeah, I think that trade makes the most sense. I mean, you get a playmaking guard in D'Angelo Russell. He's a great playmaker, great shooter, and will play well alongside Joel Embiid, in my opinion. And you might have to add in a couple shooters or other assets, a backup center, in that mix for Ben Simmons. And then Ben Simmons alongside Karl-Anthony Towns, which I find is great. I know this is focused on Philadelphia, but I love the idea of Ben Simmons and Karl-Anthony Towns. Ben on the inside, Cat on the outside. The greatest center shooter of all time with a threat on the inside. I mean, my only issue is their mentality. I mean, you're gonna have to pair a strong coach alongside these two young players because I just don't think they're there mentally. I mean, Jimmy Butler has definitely shown that Cat isn't there mentally when it comes to basketball. He's been going through some tough stuff, but and Ben Simmons, clearly mentally he's not there yet. So you're gonna have to pair a very strong coach with these two young players, and you have Anthony Edwards along with side with you. You have a couple other great wings with Jarrett Culver. Did you say Anthony Edwards already? Yeah, Anthony Edwards, Jarrett Culver, Josh Okogie. So yeah, you have a really nice young core. And you have Ricky Rubio manning your point guard, always solid. And yeah,
Yeah.
What do you think about this trade scenario?
Yeah, that would be a pretty good trade scenario. But I just want to go back to the mentality thing. Like, if this trade does go through and, Simmons is playing with Karl Anthony Towns, I want to see success because, again, I don't think Minnesota is not there really mentally. They haven't been in the playoffs in a while. They haven't seen success in a while. So if this trade were to happen, I do want to see a great coach and to just coach these young players and bring them to success. Because I do think that this trade is very likely. And I do see D'Angelo Russell playing well with the Philadelphia 76ers as well. I do think this is a pretty fair trade. I am hearing rumors that it'll be tough to include D'Angelo Russell in a trade. Like, they don't even want to trade off D'Angelo Russell. So we're going to see how that happens. But any way it happens, if Ben Simmons goes to the Timberwolves, I just want to see success through that and just see that, this trade is worth it and see both of their potentials. Simmons and Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point with D'Angelo Russell. I think Minnesota definitely is going to hold on to him tight because they just gave up assets for him in that Andrew Wiggins trade, and they gave up that first-round pick that this year is a very high lottery pick, or not too high, so that it entered their protection range, but I think it was like the 7th pick or something, and they lost that to the Warriors. So when you give up so much for D'Angelo Russell, you're going to want something great in return. So yeah, I think great point. They're going to hold on to him tight, but I still think Ben Simmons is going to be, especially with how weak Minnesota's defense is. We already know they're a terrible defensive team. You want to pair up a good coach with them, and I think you'd be all right. I think you would find some success. So yeah, that's I think Ben Simmons, Karl Anthony Towns, great scenario, and D'Angelo Russell in Philadelphia. It's going to be very interesting having a real playmaking guard alongside Joel Embiid. I mean, he's already great without one, and we're going to see how it plays out with one.